before I say anything else, I want you to do something right now. Just for a second, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself this one question. What if the thing you've been waiting for already happened? Not, what if it's coming? Not, what if I deserve it? But, what if it's already done? What if the version of you that has it, that lives it, that breathes it every single day, is not some distant future version of you? What if that version is you, right now, just waiting to catch up to itself? That's what this video is about. And I want to be very clear with you from the start. This is not a motivation video. I'm not here to hype you up and send you back to your same old patterns with a smile on your face. What I'm about to share with you is one of the most powerful and honestly one of the most misunderstood ideas in all of Neville Goddard's work. It's something I call the time collapse method. And once you really get it, I mean really get it, not just intellectually, but in your body, in your gut, you will never approach manifestation the same way again. So if you've been stuck, if you've been manifesting for months, maybe years, and things just aren't moving, stay with me. Because I think what I'm about to tell you is exactly what's been missing. Let's get into it. Okay, so let me start with something that might feel a little uncomfortable. Most people who are into manifestation, who know the law of attraction, who journal, who visualize, who say affirmations every morning, most of those people are still waiting, still hoping, still sending their desire off into some fuzzy future and wondering why it never arrives. And here's the reason. Here's the core issue. They are treating their desire as something that belongs to the future. And that is the exact thing that keeps it there. Think about how you talk about your dreams. One day I'm going to have that relationship. Eventually I'll be financially free. Someday things will be different. One day, eventually, someday. Do you hear what that's doing? Every single time you say one day, you are literally programming your subconscious mind to keep that thing at a distance. You are anchoring your desire to a future that never actually arrives. Because by definition, someday is always tomorrow, always out of reach. Neville Goddard understood this deeply, and he said something that most people skip over or don't fully understand. He said, "The secret of imagining is the greatest of all problems, to the solution of which every man should aspire. For supreme power, supreme wisdom, supreme delight lie in the far-off solution of this mystery." Now that sounds complex, right? But here's what he was really pointing to. Your imagination is not a wishing well. It is a time machine. And the way you use that time machine matters more than anything else you do. Here's the thing about time that Neville kept coming back to. Time, as we experience it, is a construct of the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the part of you that actually runs the show, that shapes your reality, that operates the invisible mechanism behind everything you see in your life. The subconscious does not understand future. It only understands now. So when you project your desire into the future, your subconscious mind does exactly what you're telling it to do. It keeps it in the future. It keeps it away. But when you flip that, when you place your desire in the past, something extraordinary happens. And that's where the time collapse method comes in. Let me explain this clearly, because I want you to really understand the mechanics here, not just feel inspired for a day and forget it. The time collapse method is built on one single premise. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined past and a real one. Read that again if you need to, because that single sentence is everything. Your subconscious mind, the part of you that actually creates your reality, operates on feeling, on impression, on emotional memory. And here's the wild part. It doesn't have a calendar. It doesn't look at your desires and go, when did this happen? It just responds to the feeling of something being real. So what happens when you take your desire and you imagine it not as something that will happen, but as something that already happened? As something that happened yesterday? Your subconscious receives a completely different signal. Instead of someday, hopefully, if everything works out, it receives done, complete, real. Neville called this the art of living in the end. But I want to expand on that and make it even more practical for you, because living in the end can still feel abstract. The key that makes this whole thing click is the word yesterday. When you say it happened yesterday, something specific shifts in your psychology. Think about it. How do you feel about things that happened yesterday? You don't question them. You don't wonder if they're real. You don't visualize them with effort. You just remember them. They have a quality of settled certainty. They're done. They're yours. That's the feeling state you're going for. Not hope, not maybe, not even positive expectation. Done. Mine. Already happened. Here's how Neville actually described this in his book, The Power of Awareness. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and observe the route that your attention follows. He's not saying imagine the future. He's saying assume the feeling. Assume it as a fact, as a memory, as a done deal. And that word, assume, is critical. When you assume something, you're not wishing for it. You're not trying to convince yourself of it. You're stepping into it as if it's simply already true. The way you assume the sun will rise tomorrow morning. You don't visualize it happening. You don't repeat affirmations about it. You simply live with that certainty as your background state. That's exactly what you're doing with the time collapse method. You're borrowing the psychological certainty of the past and applying it to your desire. And here's what's really interesting. This is not just spiritual theory. There's actually something happening on a neurological level when you do this. Your brain processes vivid imagination and real memory using many of the same neural pathways. Researchers have found that the brain's default mode network, the part that handles both memory and imagination, doesn't cleanly separate what actually happened from what was deeply imagined. When you vividly re-experience something, when you see it, feel it, hear it, your nervous system responds to it as if it's real. Your body starts to operate from a new baseline. And when your body operates from a new baseline, you act differently. You notice different things. You make different choices. You carry a different energy. And people respond to that energy. That's the mechanism. That's how it works. Not magic, not wishful thinking. A deliberate reprogramming of your inner world, which then reshapes your outer world. Now, I need to stop here and talk about why most people, even people who know all this, still don't get the results they want, because there's a gap. And it's not the gap most people think it is. The gap is not effort. It's not belief, really. It's not even consistency, although that matters. The gap is this. People are doing the technique without feeling the truth of it. Let me paint you a picture. Someone learns about the law of assumption. They're excited. They sit down, they close their eyes. They try to imagine that their desire has already happened. They picture themselves in the new house, the new relationship, the successful business. And then, somewhere in the back of their mind, a voice says, "But this isn't real. This hasn't happened. Who are you kidding?" And they push through it. They keep imagining. They finish the session. They open their eyes. And they feel exactly the same as before. Maybe even a little worse. Because now there's contrast between what they imagined and what they see around them. This is not a failure of imagination. This is a failure of emotional truth. The technique only works when the feeling is real, when the assumption carries actual weight in your nervous system, not when you're performing a visualization exercise and going through the motions. And here's what makes the yesterday framing so powerful. It helps you sidestep that resistance. When you try to imagine a future desire, your critical mind shows up immediately. It starts calculating. Is this realistic? Have I done enough to deserve this? What are the odds? But when you shift to this happened yesterday, something fascinating happens. Your critical mind doesn't have the same attack angle because you're not making a prediction. You're recalling, and recalling feels natural. It feels like something you're allowed to do. It's a back door into belief. You're not asking your mind to believe something impossible is coming. You're asking it to remember something that already occurred. And that's a much easier sell. Neville said something profound on this exact point. He said the most important question is not, what do I want? It's, what would I feel like if I already had it? And then he pushed further, be that feeling now, not someday, not when you get it, Now, that now is the whole game. But most people stay stuck in a loop of wanting, which is by definition a state of lack, because wanting something implies you don't have it. And your subconscious responds to the state of lack by creating more circumstances that reinforce lack. The time collapse method breaks that loop by collapsing the distance between now and the desired state, by making it, in your inner world, already past tense. All right, let's get practical. I want to walk you through exactly how to apply this method, not as a theory exercise, as a daily practice. Step 1. Choose one specific desire. Not 10. Not a vision board with 40 things. 1. Pick the thing that matters most to you right now. The relationship, the financial shift, the health outcome, the opportunity. Whatever it is, make it specific. Specificity matters because it gives your subconscious a clear, sharp impression. Vague desires create vague results. If you know exactly what you want, you can create an exact memory of it. Step 2, build the yesterday memory. This is the heart of the practice. Sit down somewhere quiet. Close your eyes. And rather than imagining a future scene, construct a memory. Ask yourself, if this already happened yesterday, what would I remember about it? Where was I when I found out? What did I do when it became real? Who did I call? How did my body feel in that first moment? What does it feel like now, the day after, when excitement has settled a little but the reality is still fresh and warm? Get granular. Get specific. Build the sensory details. You want to feel the texture of the moment, the physical sensation in your chest, the temperature of the room, the tone of your own inner voice as it confirms, yes, this is real. The more detailed the memory, the more convincing it is to your subconscious. Spend 5 to 10 minutes here, not straining, not forcing, just remembering. Step 3, carry the assumption into your day. This is where most people drop the ball. They do the morning session, they feel good, and then they walk out into their day and completely return to their old identity. The old doubts, the old patterns, the old low-level hum of, I'm still waiting. The real work is in how you carry the assumption throughout the day. This doesn't mean walking around pretending or forcing yourself to feel happy every second. It means maintaining, in the background of your awareness, a quiet sense of settledness, like someone who has good news they haven't told everyone yet. There's a calm confidence there, a quiet knowing. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to perform it. You just carry it. Neville called this wearing the new state, not putting it on like a costume, actually wearing it like it's yours, like it belongs to you, because it does. Step 4, when doubt comes and it will, don't fight it. This is important. Doubt is not your enemy. Doubt is actually useful information. When it shows up, it's pointing you to the exact place where your subconscious needs more convincing. Don't suppress the doubt. Don't white-knuckle through it. Instead, when doubt shows up, gently return to your yesterday memory. Feel it again. Reinforce the impression. And continue. This is not a one-time session. This is a daily practice of reestablishing the assumption until it becomes your default state. Neville said, sleep as though it were true. Wake as though it were true. Act as though it were true, not in the world, but in the only place that matters, your inner world. That inner consistency is what collapses time. That's what makes things move. One bonus technique, the before-sleep revision. Right before you fall asleep, when your mind is in that soft, drifting state, right at the edge of sleep, that is when your subconscious is most receptive. It's when the guard of your critical mind is down. Use that moment to replay your yesterday memory. Feel it again. Let the assumption sink in through the threshold of sleep. Neville called this the most powerful time for impression, and he was right. Many people have reported extraordinary shifts from doing exactly this consistently, not because it's magic, because sleep is a direct line to the subconscious, and if you program it right before you cross that threshold, it processes that assumption all night long. I want to close with something that I think will reframe everything I've shared today. The reason the time collapse method works, The reason assume it happened yesterday is so powerful is because it points to a deeper truth that Neville Goddard was always pointing to. You are not waiting to become someone who is what you want. You already are that person. You just haven't accepted the role yet. The version of you that has the relationship, the career, the freedom, that version isn't some future stranger. It's you with a different inner state, with a different assumption about reality. And the only thing standing between who you are right now and who you want to be is the story you're telling yourself about when and whether it's possible. Time is not the obstacle. Your belief about time is the obstacle. When you collapse that time, when you pull your desire from the vague someday into the felt certainty of already done, you remove the one thing that was keeping your reality locked in place. You stop waiting. And when you stop waiting, things start moving, not because the universe rewards impatience, but because the energy of done creates an entirely different field of action, attention, and attraction than the energy of waiting. That's the real secret. Not a technique, not a ritual, a shift in your fundamental assumption about who you are and what's already true for you. So, we've covered a lot today. You now understand why placing your desire in the future keeps it there. You understand what it means to assume it happened yesterday, and why that psychological shift is so different from regular visualization. You have a 4-step practice you can start tonight, and you understand the deeper principle behind all of it. None of this is complicated, but it does require consistency. It requires you to choose every single day to operate from the assumption of done rather than the anxiety of waiting. And I promise you, if you commit to that, even for just 30 days, you will look back and not recognize the life you were living before. One last thing. If you watched this entire video, and I mean really watched it, let it land, felt something shift even a little, I want to know, drop a comment right now and tell me, what is the one desire you're collapsing time on? What did happen yesterday? Write it in the past tense. Write it like it already happened. Even that small act, putting it in writing in the past tense in public, is a declaration to your subconscious that it's real. So if you made it this far, leave a comment saying it already happened. That's your first act of assumption. Right here, right now. I'll see you in the next one.